Mike Tannenbaum of the Mothership, former general manager in the NFL, kind enough to join us. Mike, I want to get your reaction to these two different clips from two different owners. Let me start with Jerry Jones and what he is saying about Micah Parsons.
Just because we sign him doesn't mean we're going to have him. He was hurt 6 games last year. Seriously. We've signed, I remember signing a player for the highest paid at the position in the league, and he got knocked out 2/3 of the year, Dak Prescott. So there's a lot of things you can think about, just as the player does, when you're thinking about committing and guaranteeing money.
What's the purpose of those comments?
Dan, it's stunning and totally unnecessary. It's the cost of doing business, and nobody knows that better than Jerry Jones, who was one of the architects of the collective bargaining agreement. Look, there's parts of the agreement that are good for both sides, Dan, and everyone knows the risks, but you're fortunate to have a great player in Micah Parsons, and he's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. Every day you don't get that deal done, the more expensive it gets, and I was stunned by what he said.
All right, then you have the Bengals owner, Mike Brown, who said this about his great edge rusher, Trey Hendrickson.
We aren't going to trade Trey. We're working to get Trey signed as we speak here. There are guys over in the office working to get that done. We like Trey as a person. He's a good guy. But when it comes to these negotiations, and we've been through a few of them with him, he pushes hard. He gets emotional. We never have an easy time of it, but there's one thing that is consistent. It always gets done, and I think this one will.
Okay, you have an owner who inherited a team, and he is critical of a player who gets emotional trying to negotiate a contract here. Help me understand what Mike Brown is saying.
Yeah, likewise. That was a surprise, Dan. Look, if they had locked Trey Hendrickson in a room after the last game and said, hey, we're going to make you the highest paid pass rusher, it would have been $34 million, $34.1 million higher than Nick Bosa. And what did we see in the offseason? Donnell Hunter, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, and lately T.J. Watt. And if we're running the Bengals, Dan, T.J. Watt and Trey Hendrickson are 2 months apart in terms of age. Trey Hendrickson has outproduced T.J. Watt over the last 2 years. And we know, based on everything Pittsburgh has done, from Aaron Rodgers to D.K. Metcalf, Jonnu Smith, Jalen Ramsey, Dan, they're going to get T.J. Watt done. So why are we waiting? So I was surprised by Mike Brown's comments, and they had a great offseason getting T. Higgins signed, Jamar Chase signed. Why not be aggressive and proactive to get Trey Hendrickson signed?
Yeah, it feels like the Eagles gave us the blueprint, for building a team, that Howie Roseman's done a wonderful job, and Jeffrey Lurie, and getting these contracts done. And they don't drag out, I don't think, do they, in Philadelphia?
You're making a great point. No, and look, if we're in an arms race, if we're the Cowboys and we're trying to catch the Eagles and we're paying premium prices and they're getting discount prices, that's why you lose guys like Jordan Lewis to Jacksonville, DeMarcus Lawrence to Seattle. You know, Adam Schefter mentioned this morning, Dan, like maybe that's why they didn't have the money to sign Derrick Henry. So and they've done a nice job of drafting, if you know you have CeeDee Lamb or Dak Prescott or in this case Parsons, sign them early, you would save tens of millions of dollars, and that translates into keeping more good players, to your point, which is what the Eagles have done.
How tough is it to be a general manager and have an owner who speaks?
Well, look, I always define the job of being a GM as the point guard of information. I got to sit between the head coach and owner, and it could be Darrelle Revis or whomever, and say, hey, look, here's where we are. Here's what's reasonable. Here's what they want. You know, is there a spot that we could all live with, fight another day, maybe not ideal? And, look, owners are going to speak. They're certainly, they're entitled to it, Dan. My whole thing was, if we're speaking, let's just be aligned on the sound bites, and let's never say anything negative or anything that could be inflammatory to the other side, especially the big media markets I worked in. And Jerry Jones is too smart and too strategic. Like, why would you want to inflame Micah Parsons or even take a shot at Dak Prescott? It wasn't like Dak Prescott tried to get hurt. The guy cares deeply he got hurt. So I was really surprised by what he said.
But is this how owners really think? We're just hearing the quiet part out loud?
That's a fair question. I don't think it's one size fits all, to be candid. Do some owners think that way? Yeah, obviously they do. But, there's others that all they want to do is, want to win. They understand the risks involved. Look, the collective bargaining agreement, Dan, is a very long and complicated agreement. All these valuations of the franchises keep going up, so the asset appreciation is a very big win for the owners, which it should be. They've taken the risk of ownership, and they should enjoy the upside. Players get their bites of the apple when they earn it, 3 years, and from their rookie year to get back to the table. So to me, if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm very well aware of how much my franchise has gone up. I should thank the players that are busting their tail for me. And when a guy gets hurt, it is what it is. Nobody wants it to happen, but that's just part of the game.
He's Mike Tannenbaum, the former general manager in the NFL, works for the mothership. How often were you told to sign somebody that you personally didn't want to sign?
Well, I would say what would be more frequent was like how much to sign the player for. And again, we had a sign up in our office, Dan. In God we trust. For everyone else, we need data. And basically, that symbolized, hey, when we have disagreements on who to pay, how much to pay, it's not going to be who screams louder. It's going to be, let's get more information. Let's watch more film. Let's do more research, whatever it may be. And I just felt like if we kept drilling down into the information, that should lead us to the best decision. It's hard, Dan, because not only do you have 90 players, but it's how much to pay them, how much of the pie to give a player. And you're going to have disagreements on, a player's worth. And I just felt like the more information we could get, the less emotional it is and the more reasonable we can be in getting to a landing spot that makes sense.
What is the downside of paying Micah Parsons $1 more than T.J. Watt?
If you're going to lose other good players, like when your cap is $280 million and 60 is going to Dak and 41 or 2 is going to, Parsons and CeeDee Lamb's getting his, like you're upwards of, $130, $35 million for 3 players, and you're going to have injuries. So that's why, to your point, which I agree with, on a team like the Eagles, and you have Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown that's getting paid in the mid-20s and CeeDee Lamb's in the 30s, that cumulatively adds up. And we're seeing more and more of the top end of these players get more money. Like, if Patrick Mahomes walks in tomorrow and says to Andy Reid, either pay me $70 million a year or I'm going to retire, they're going to pay him $70 million a year. That's going to cost them, a good guard in Joe Thuney, for example. And that's the context of the decisions you have to make, which is when we pay a star player, which is a great problem to have, somebody else is going to have to leave the roster.
Always great to talk to you, Mike. Safe travels. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you having me. Thanks, Dan.
Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN. A couple of phone calls in here. Susan in Alabama. Hi, Susan. See, my whole thing with, these contracts, if you're going to pay Micah Parsons, then just pay him. Just get it over with. Don't have any acrimony. Don't have it stretched out. Just pay him, because you're not going to get a bargain. So, what are we waiting for? You got to have him, get him, make him happy, put him in camp. Now we move on. You got bigger issues than this. Your issues are the Philadelphia Eagles right now.